I mentioned this right as the number came out. Gold, I definitely hear you. I'm not like in an angst to short gold right now. I think that if there is a short to be taken, if dollar bullishness can coexist with S&P 500 bullishness, that's another side of the story. But if I am going to be short biased on gold, it's going to be at that 61.8, the 1895, stops above the high, and very willing to switch biases if things change. But going over to the indices, again, that was kind of one of the coolest moments ever, just to see the algorithm computing automatically for us that core being a win today for the indices has already and automatically been factored into the scoring system of the EDGEFINDER. That is so cool to have it. Somebody in the chat, Frank, this is cool. The edgementals. That is amazing. I've never thought of that.
Exactly.
EDGEFINDER fundamentals, the edgementals. We've got the euro in the bottom left. We've got gold top left. S&P 500 is going to sit snug in the top right. Got the, let's see, gold, euro, S&P, and yeah, that'll do, guys. We're coming into the number here about 35 seconds away. And again, just it's free, takes half a second. Hit that thumbs up on the stream. It really helps us out. We'll get the numbers here in just a second. We'll be covering it. Don't go anywhere after the spike, by the way, guys, because that's where we can actually look for setups. A lot of times, people leave right after the spike comes. Stick around. The setups follow the spike. It's not the other way around like most traders kind of gamble the news. Anyways, breaking news coming in. All right, let's see what we get again for CPI numbers coming in hot. All right, the S&P 500 initially down. That would signal perhaps some hot inflationary numbers. Let's make sure we don't call it too soon. There's the euro coming down. Gold shot down initially. The S&P 500 made a swift move lower and seems to be bouncing so far. Let's see if we can get the numbers coming in. We got 0.4%. Ooh, hotter than expected inflationary numbers remained unchanged from the previous go around. So missing expectations by a little bit, coming up to 3.7. Unemployment claims pretty unmeaningful there. What was core CPI year over year? Someone in the chat, if you have core CPI year over year for me, you guys know who you are. If you have that, let me know. But it does seem like we have unchanged inflation, not severe progress like many traders and investors were hoping for. I just wanted to say, to reiterate what I was pointing out earlier, on the simplest level, the news did come out. If you're just looking at the headline CPI, it came out hotter than expected, which would beckon you to say, oh, that's going to cause the dollar to go stronger as inflationary pressures are high. And that's going to lead the Fed to, again, raise rates. The problem is to the dollar bulls right now is that core, which measures some of the more key components of the economy and their prices, not just energy prices, which shoot all over the place. We've seen oil up in the last few months, for example. What's really key here is that the core number did actually, in fact, cool by what market participants were hoping for, down to that 4.1% year over year. The reason I'm bringing that up is because, even though, of course, from a technical perspective, we saw an initial spike, I mentioned right away that I have my doubts on this dollar move to the upside, and I don't necessarily think this is just a big breakaway dollar index move. So far, we're starting to see that kind of materialize in the technicals. But again, that's kind of my opinion. Is I'm not super big believer in dollar bullishness just off of this news. Now, something else could change the tide a little bit, but from this purely, I think there's probably a valid point for a mixed candle here based on what we saw. Miko, again, do you see anything on the dollar side of stuff with this news that we got this morning that is triggering to you for any trades? Not triggering to you, but triggering any trades for you today?
Want to stay up to date with all the latest trading information? In the description below, you'll find the link to join our free Discord. The Discord gives you instant access to lots of helpful material like free trading courses, chart analysis, updates about what's happening in the A1 community, as well as discount codes for our other products and services. The best part, all of this and more is 100% free. So go down in the description below this video and check it out for yourself. If you're interested in upgrading to the full VIP Discord featuring our team of expert traders signals, you can use the live chat link in the description to get connected with one of our team members in seconds. So don't wait, go check out the free Discord today.
Well, not at the moment. I am still very much a dollar bull longer term. I'm kind of following the DXY up. So I'm still anticipating a lot of these moves that we're seeing on the current dollar pairs just to be retracements. So I've got Aussie dollar up here. I'm looking at that being retracement. I'm expecting price to continue to the downside. Still no setups for me at the moment. Again, I'm looking for particular patterns here, particular confluences to enter the market. So unless they present themselves, there is no trade. But in terms of my bias, I'm still very much a dollar bull, looking for pairs like Aussie dollar to continue down, Euro USD to continue down. Although this one has been slowly moving to the upside, as you mentioned here, not quite ready to short yet, but still rejecting a pretty big level on the daily chart, which I've noticed. So I'm wondering maybe if this will send the market down. At the moment, I'm still kind of patiently waiting for opportunities. Pound USD likewise as well. We've come back to test a nice low here on the left. We've just had a nice reaction from. So again, these are signs that potentially dollar might be looking to gain strength and potentially reverse. Still a little bit too early to say, but it's a nice reaction, of course. The news has definitely played a big part in that. Dollar CAD, I'm still looking for upside as well, but this one not quite in my area of interest just yet. I'm looking for some buys around 1.354. So I'm actually hoping maybe dollar CAD might head to the downside a little bit deeper. And I actually quite like gold and silver as well to the downside. Silver not quite in my area just yet. I'm looking at a break and retest of this level here. I do like the lower highs price has been printing, so I'm hoping a bit more upsides to get some shorts. But not long ago we had such a big breakout of silver, clearing out some lows here. So I'm seeing if silver can continue that path back down to the low here. Kind of likewise with gold, although gold's kind of already hit a big level of support and kind of reacted with that. But likewise, gold is coming to retest some key areas around here. So I'm anticipating potentially some downside for both gold and silver as well. So I'm looking for some shorts for them. It's still a little bit premature at the moment, nothing quite set up for a trade. But in terms of my bias and what I'm expecting, it's kind of all there. So I'm just waiting for opportunities to trade them. But yeah, I'm still a dollar bull, and those are some of the pairs that I'm looking at going forward.
I think that's fair points on the gold side of things. Same thing with silver. There was kind of a part of me that was looking at the gold market this morning. My game plan going into CPI was, if CPI was just a smashing hot number for today's number. Now we got mixed, like I mentioned before. We got kind of some good, some not so good in terms of inflationary numbers. If we had seen just a smash hit win for the dollar, meaning core and headline were hotter than expected, I probably would have just shorted gold outright. We had some levels at the 50% retracement that I kind of liked. But now, to kind of go along with what you're saying there, Miko, I do like gold on the short side, but now I'm going to be more picky with my entry and probably look for that 61.8 to be my level of resistance that I'd be interested in, rather than just where I was pretty willing to step up and short it based on the CPI numbers. So anyways, that, again, really hot topic in the chat today. A lot of people curious about gold. I want to ask Marco. I mentioned another one I'm watching is the dollar yen. And dollar yen, you got to be careful. There's a big disclaimer with dollar yen and anything yen related at this time due to the Bank of Japan's intervention stuff. At any point, we could hear something from Ueda, which is the Bank of Japan governor, right? The person there. If there's any further development there, it could cause some serious unknown direction volatility on the yen. But I really like the technical chart here. And I'm kind of watching this level here as we trade right around 149.44 to see if we can get that break. What do you think, Marco, dollar yen? Is there a possible break and run back to the highs that could be played here at some point?
So let me quickly open it up. USD JPY. Okay, so for me, for the strategy that I trade, currently price is stuck inside of this larger range. So I needed to break this level or this level. But if I was looking at it more on a, let's say, lower scale, again, for me, it's looking flat, to be honest. So as a trend trader, I'm not really seeing much potential right here. I mean, it's looking like possible opportunity to sell the top and buy the bottom. But personally, I could not tell you much more than that on this 1 hour chart. So what I would wait for is the break of the higher and the low, and I would expect some large reactions in these general areas. So even if we do get a breakout, I do expect the first breakout to be a fake out and to retrace back and continue ranging. That is what happens most of the time. So usually the first large breakout from a range is a fake out to take out most traders. Then what I like to do after the fake out, so after we fake out, usually we range and then we maybe reverse down and then we start a nice downtrend, for example. And that is when the real move appears itself. Again, it's all about grabbing the liquidity, stopping out most people, and then choosing a direction.
Sure. So with where we're currently at, you'd be more inclined to say this chart is choppy, it's indecisive. If anything, if you had to place a trade, you'd be more on the short side until something proves itself. Is that right?
Okay, if I had to place a trade,
You had to.
If I had to. Okay, let me see.
They do this, by the way, before you answer, Marco. I listen to a lot of different news networks. That's where I keep up to date with a lot of fundamentals and stuff. And what I love about this one show that I watch on CNBC is at the end of their show, they do a segment called Final Trades. And on Final Trades, they go around the table and everybody has to, not necessarily, you're not placing a trade, but you're stating very clearly like the most pressing, if you had to, set up right now, what would you do? And I love that segment because it's such an interesting, just to hear people kind of tackle such a difficult question, because clearly all of us are like, there's some stuff that could be setting up, but it's not quite ready. I love the idea of putting ourselves on the spot like that.
Cool. I have an idea about it.
Okay.
So on the lower scale, I would see this as being in a large range, right? So I would see this upper liquidity as being a major rejection area, and I would expect this breakout, which is now possibly going to do this, to fail. So I do expect this to fail and then continue ranging around, because, again, first breakouts, in my personal experience, usually fail around these areas above and below ranges. So we can actually also drop down to, let's say, the 15-minute. And there I would also see this being as a major resistance level. So I would not be buying, I would actually be selling at this point for a short-term trade idea to maybe get back into the center of this range, or maybe even to the bottom of the range. That's what I would be doing. So a sell.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for the. I put you on the spot for a reason. I'm coming to Miko now. Miko, let's try it out. Trade of the day. If you had to place something, what would it be? I guess just wherever you're at. Again, I guess assuming you can say if it pulls back to, what's your trade setup of the day?
Okay, so not just dollar yen.
Not just dollar yen. Yes, anything you'd like.
Okay, so only about. Okay, trade for the day. Good question. I'll probably say pound yen long. I'm actually eyeing it up myself, actually, so nice coincidence. But I mean, I really like pound yen going forward. I think there's a lot of upside. I think the yen pair is starting to gain some strength again, and possibly could be seeing them come back to their relative highs, pound yen included. And recently, we just saw a nice break of structure, price breaking through 183 here. So this gives me a good sign that potentially that upwards move is on the cards, and we could be seeing pound yen and other yen pairs gain some strength. And I'm looking at this area here at 183, 100, we can call it. The market has been pretty consistent with these high lows, pushing to the upside. And I'm looking to see if we can place another one, retesting 183. And we're not too far away from that level as well. So I do think there's a good chance we'll probably see some more upside I'm looking at this massive wick to the downside from last week as possibly the next high low, similar to what we had over here. Massive move to the downside, and then we got the price pushing up, creates some new highs. Possibly could be seeing a repeat of that situation and price moving up. Likewise with the other yen pairs. But in terms of the opportunity, I'll probably say pound yen probably looks the best out of all the other yen pairs in terms of an immediate setup. So yeah, I'll probably say keep an eye on pound yen longs, and I mean, depending how far you want to take the trade, possibly back to the highs, but there's other highs here you could look to target as well. But yeah, I'll probably say pound yen longs.
Okay, cool, Mika. Thank you for that. So pound yen, bullish setups. Marco, trade of the day. I know I put you on the spot with dollar yen, but you can choose anything. What would your trade of the day be if you had to do something?
Cool. So EU would be my
Okay.
trade of the day. If I had to place a trade right now, I'll do a market sell, and I would put my stops above this. So basically, after these ascending channels, usually what happens, especially with this bearish candle, a nice downtrend occurs. So that would be my main trade idea for today. Rest of the pairs just do not look good. What about you, Nick? What would you do?
Okay, good. Awesome. So we've got so far, let's recap. We got pound yen longs, we've got euro dollar bear subs, which I do really agree. And I'm gonna pick something else just not to piggyback off you. I think for me, if I had to place a trade today, I'm watching dollar yen for breakouts. So again, I think we have a good shot at possibly retesting these highs around 150. And despite the mixed CPI number, again, core and headline kind of differing in their biases, I think dollar strength against the Japanese yen specifically could continue higher. As again, the story remains pretty divergent between the Bank of Japan and the Federal Reserve. So I like the dollar yen potential bullish setups on a break or any sort of retest into this area going into the remainder of this week and possibly into next week. Now, this is also finally last thing. What I will say is another. So I would be looking for a breakout retest. Like I said, I'm kind of cheating on my own quiz question here. So I'm not saying like I would buy it in market order right now, but I would break the retest entry. I'll add one more thing to my dollar yen idea is that, you know, yields have been on the rise recently, and there has been a little bit of a blip to the downside in yields, people going into treasuries possibly as a risk off move in response to the Israel situation. That's also been a little bit of what the bid on gold has been as well. So that's a little bit of a tough call to try and make, but dollar yen bullish setups would be probably where I'm at personally.
It also kind of worked out the way I thought it was going to be, with higher than expected but lower than last time. So, you know, 0.4 versus the 0.3 expectations, but last month was 0.6%. So I guess overall kind of a decline in inflation. So still kind of that mixed sentiment. I don't really know exactly where it's going to go, but you know, the markets are still not having a heavy reaction yet. The New York session hasn't opened yet, but we'll see that increased volatility in like 30 minutes or so. But so I'm looking at gold here testing this 1880s level where I thought, okay, it could come up and then this could be a potential short opportunity, but a part of me doesn't want to short right now because, you know, the markets have been going up, gold's been going up, yields dipped under 5%. Not today, they're back above, but it's just this back and forth between risk on and risk off, and which one are we gonna, you know, focus on. The Fed's meeting minutes was kind of the same thing. They want higher jobs. They want a healthy labor market. Wage growth is slowing. They like that. Inflation is still their number one goal. Nothing's really different there. In terms of long or short, I don't know. I might be looking for longs if it breaks this level here at the 1880s. And then also on the indices, I'm going to look at the S&P again. I trailed out yesterday, so we can ignore this right now.
Oh, so you're all out of your S&P longs.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So today's kind of, if this closes like this looks kind of bearish. But we were talking about a test up here at the trend line. We'll just have to see. I'm going to be looking at like the 4 hour, 1 hour, see if there's any promising candles there. But yeah, I'm not really that bearish on indices anymore, since I've been buying them, obviously. But yeah, I don't really think that this is a major indicator, because we saw lower than previous, core stayed the same. I don't know.
Frank,
it's
I
a
gotta
lot
show you
to.
something so cool. While you said that, I went to go check the EDGEFINDER scoring, and if we could switch over to my screen, this is just a moment where I'm proud of us, because look at this. The S&P 500 no longer there, because core was factored in properly to the algorithm that we wrote. So virtual high five, because that is kind of awesome, considering the fact that we got the numbers already in, and the EDGEFINDER has already done the computations behind the scenes, automatically sourcing that the core number was not incredibly damning for the S&P 500. And again, core is what many investors are looking for. They're looking for the core number to tick lower, because inflation headline can be heavily impacted by very volatile areas of the market like energy and food, which of course is still important, but that core number ticking lower has been the struggle. So, I mentioned this right as the number came out. Gold, I definitely hear you. I'm not like in an angst to short gold right now. I think that if there is a short to be taken, if dollar bullishness can coexist with S&P 500 bullishness, that's another side of the story. But if I am going to be short biased on gold, it's going to be at that 61.8 to 1895, stops above the high, and very willing to switch biases if things change. But going over to the indices, again, that was kind of one of the coolest moments ever, just to see the algorithm computing automatically for us that core being a win today for the indices has already and automatically been factored into the scoring system of the EDGEFINDER. That is so cool to have it. Somebody in the chat, Frank, this is cool. The EDGEmentals. That is amazing. I've never thought of that.
Exactly.
EDGEFINDER fundamentals, the EDGEmentals.
Even NAS is at a bullish score right now. So the indices have flipped from very bearish to a weaker bearish, and then to neutral, and US 30's at neutral, and NASDAQ's at a buy or bullish. So that was
because we started trending well. The NASDAQ leads the market right now in terms of bullish strength. The COT data seems to be giving us a +1. Retail short biased on it. Seasonally, we're entering into a good period. Again, you give me half a reason to go long the NASDAQ on pullbacks and I will do it. But this is a nice flux of reasons. So inflationary numbers were not necessarily a win, but this is coming off of a -3 score on the EDGEFINDER that we had previously, Frank. I mean, that's a nice improvement due to that core inflation statistic showing properly some signs of continued cooling. And at some point, I think, Frank, you have to kind of scroll out on this whole situation, zoom out, and you have to say, we're at like 9% inflation and a Federal Reserve that had no end in sight with rate hikes. And now you don't have that. You have a story where the economy is staying strong. Recession fears are subsiding for the most part. There's still possibilities of recessions, but they're much less likely. You have a Federal Reserve who's not hiking at a rapid pace anymore, and you're seeing inflation trend overall to the downside. To me, that keeps me indices bullish.
Don't forget to check out the links in the description if you want our broker recommendation, access to our free Discord, free EDGEFINDER, or want to chat with us on Telegram. Remember, you can watch us live in the markets every morning starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we have lots more free trading tools and content available on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching.